Good afternoon, everybody. It's Stacey Cook with SalusCare. I'm signing on about a minute early to see if there are others who are going to sign on, give you a little bit of time. Hey, Deb. Glad you signed on. Miguel, how are you? Glad you signed on. Thanks for joining. It's nice. I hope everybody has a drink of some sort, and I do mean a non-alcoholic beverage. It's noon, so maybe hey Laura, how are you? Good to see you. All right, Suzanne. Hey. All right, Todd. I'm glad I signed on a little bit early, so I have a bevo of choice. Got a little coffee and a little water as well. You know, it's important to stay hydrated during this time and take good care of yourself. Hey, Suzanne, always good to hear from you. Glad you guys are signing on. I'm gonna get started. It's noon and we're starting our week. Hi, Heather, it's good to see you. Thanks for signing on. I wanted to go live today. I'm trying to do it once a week, maybe a little bit more, just depending on what's going on, and have the opportunity to connect with everybody as somebody who works with SalusCare and somebody who's also a licensed clinical social worker who's working during some really interesting, unprecedented times. So this is a great opportunity to, one, connect, right? Have that face-to-face, even though it's virtual kind of time, and to talk about whatever happens to be going on. And right now, I'm reading a lot, hearing a lot, seeing a lot on social media about anxiety and how with all the current events with COVID, whether you've had anxiety for a long time and been managing it, or whether you're very new to anxiety and experiencing it for the first time, I think that it's important for us to have that conversation, whether you're in a clinical field, whether you're experiencing it very directly, or someone you love or know is experiencing it. Very important to talk about it. And that's really what I wanted to focus on today. And I want to start with, because it's my responsibility as a good steward for the organization SalusCare, is to remind you, hey Lori, is to remind you that we are open at SalusCare, doing business very differently. All of our outpatient and community-based services are remote. So that means, hi Nicholas, that means that if you need to access critical behavioral health resources, whether it be therapy, psychiatry, case management, hi Maureen, that you can do that. We can connect with you in a very safe way. We use an application called Zoom. We walk you through it, you download it, you see your therapist, you see your doctor, you can see your case manager, and you're in the privacy of your own home. So we want to make sure it's safe. We want to make sure you get the services you need. So we are taking new clients, new patients, and we're serving current patients. And you can, oh, this is going to be backwards, I think. I can't tell because I can't see myself. www.salus, S-A-L-U-S, care, C-A-R-E, Florida, all one word, .org, or 275-3222. That's how you can contact us. You can call us, we'll get you hooked up, we'll walk you through Zoom. You can go to our website, you're gonna click on Treatment Services and Care Connection. It is backwards, thanks Suzanne, isn't that great? If anybody can read backwards, fantastic. So, hey Ronnie, go to our website, saluscareflorida.org, click on Treatment Services, Care Connection. We'll be able to help you online. Thanks, Lori. I see it is backwards. Hey, Vicky. And if you'd rather not go online, that's fine. Give us a call at 275-3222, and our customer service representatives are available. We're going to get you hooked up. We're going to get you an appointment. We're going to connect you with care. Whether you've been with us, whether you're brand new with us, we're going to take care of you. So don't be afraid of the technology. Trust me. If I can use it, and I did a video not long ago, I promise you anybody can use it. Anybody can. So going back to what we started off with earlier is we were talking about anxiety and how whether you're new to the world of anxiety or someone like me, I've been very open about my story. I was diagnosed as a very young person with anxiety. And today what we're experiencing, something unprecedented, that is a huge trauma with a lot of unknowns and new developments literally every day. This can really exacerbate symptoms of anxiety, and it's resulting in others who've never had anxiety before, they're experiencing it. And here's the thing. This is going to sound kind of, take it with a grain of salt. If you're experiencing it or you're experiencing an exacerbation of symptoms, this is, for lack of a better word, it's to be expected. It's normal, painfully uncomfortable, but think about it. Our routines have changed. Thanks, Todd. Appreciate that. Hey, Kendra. Our routines have drastically changed. Get up in the morning, get in the car, drive for a cup of coffee, drop the kids off. Whatever your routine is, the routine changed, right? Some of us aren't even leaving the house in the morning. Some of us may still be doing that, but it's changed in a huge way. Something that we've taken advantage of, I think, as a country, is this sense of stability and security. And right now that's in question because we're dealing with something that's so unknown that we've never experienced before. Hi, Molly. It's incredibly frightening. And this is new to us as a country, as a community. And on top of all of that, we've got mainstream media coming at us with tons of information, frightening information. These are the facts and we need to have them. But nonetheless, hey Patricia, it's a lot of information that we're flooded with that's very scary. We're talking about life-threatening stuff, right? So back to the anxiety. Of course we're going to experience anxiety, right? We're all trying to adjust literally on a minute-by-minute basis to a very new world. Mind you, it's temporary. We don't know how long it's going to take, but it's important to keep that in mind. It is a temporary state. Regardless, a couple of days, weeks, months can feel like a very long time. In the absence of information, we tend to fill in the blanks. And guess what that does? It creates more anxiety. So, we know what it is. You might feel it in very different ways, or for some of us, very similar ways. Some people experience it in a very visceral way, very physically. Some people feel anxiety as discomfort in their stomach, maybe butterflies or an upset stomach. Some people may feel tightness in their throat, or maybe your mouth is dry. Sweaty palms. Some people have shaking hands. Hey, Sophia. Some people experience anxiety in a very different kind of way, where they're having thoughts that are catastrophic, that they're very future focused. Some, I'm one, who can create a visual, a very catastrophic future event that may or may not never happen. Some people can see themselves in a hospital bed, a family member dying, and just creating these elaborate future catastrophic kinds of visualizations. Hey, Jenny. And what that does is it produces an immediate feeling. Thoughts produce feelings. So in our minds, have no idea that we're creating an imaginary thought. We're thinking a future catastrophic event. To our minds, it's saying, oh my God, fight or flight. And then what happens? You start to experience those feelings all over again, and they even get stronger and more intense. And some people experience anxiety in a combination of those ways. So again, we know what it is. We know what it feels like. What can you do? I'm going to give you something right now that you can try, right? We need something that we can implement right away and feel better. What you can do is, it's grounding or mindfulness or being in the present moment. And here's what I mean. If you're in the present moment, if you're focused on the right here, right now, brain is quiet, here you are, hi Gloria, you're in the present moment. There is no future, there is no past, There's just the now. It's very grounding. It's very mindful, and it stops our minds from going to that future place, from our minds getting very busy and producing all of these catastrophic thoughts, which is going to reduce the anxiety. Even if it doesn't completely go away, the idea of grounding is, let's just take the edge off. So here's how to help you hone in and focus a little bit more as it relates to grounding and mindfulness and presence. As soon as you begin to feel a rise in the anxiety, the thoughts are starting to take off on their own, your stomach is starting to have that feeling of discomfort, of butterflies, maybe you've got that sense of doom. What I want you to try is to focus on identifying 3 to 5 things in that moment that you can feel. And what do I mean? I can feel my rear end sitting on the chair. I can feel the feeling of my coat on my skin. I can feel my hands on my legs and my feet on the floor. If you're doing this, you're going to find, because you're bringing your focus from external to internal to a grounding focus, you're going to experience that anxiety, your mind, your body is going to start to slow down. So you've identified 3 to 5 things that you can feel. Next, I want you to identify 3, hi David, hi Mark, 3 to 5 things that you can see. So keeping your mind on feeling, but identify 3 to 5 things around you that you can see. I have a notebook in front of me. I have an iPad that's playing quiet music right in front of me. I have my drink container. You don't have to touch these things necessarily, but what you're doing is, again, bringing that focus from the external to the internal to a very grounding state. So you're seeing, you're feeling, you're seeing, and next, 3 to 5 things that you can hear. And maybe you don't have 3, maybe you have 2, that's okay. The idea is to go through all of the submodalities that we use to create stories in our minds and in our world, and we're going to ground them. So you're going to take hi Robert, start with feeling, seeing, hearing, and identifying those 3 to 5 things. If you practice this hi Sandra, in the absence of feeling anxious, meaning if you make a practice of becoming present, finding that present moment, reminding your brain, our brains have the ability to relearn new skills. There's neuroplasticity, those cells are redeveloping. So if we're training ourselves to come back to the present moment, the moment that we have, the visuals in the future, the catastrophic thinking, whether we think the thoughts or not, we can't control the future. That's why I'm suggesting we come back, hi Kate, to the present moment. And that's just a quick, easy technique. I can share more with you at a later date. But in addition to new techniques, I also want to encourage you to do something else, to ask yourself what's worked for you in the past. When you had a stressful, traumatic kind of event in your life where your coping skills are incredibly taxed, what worked for you, right? It's important I love what you just said, Laura, it works well with kids who can't put words into feelings. Gotcha. Going back to what's worked for you. I realize this is apples and oranges when we're comparing, okay, that I've never had a pandemic in my life. I've never experienced this kind of trauma. That's okay, and that's a good thing. But you have experienced times where you've had difficulty in some way, whether it was in a relationship, a personal relationship, a professional one, a death, some other life change where you coped in a particular way. Maybe it wasn't all positive and productive, but I bet there were some things that really worked for you. Go back to that place and ask yourself now, of all of those skills that I used, all of the coping, can I use some of those today? So, for instance, maybe it's getting outside and going for a walk. Maybe it's simply stepping outside for 2 to 3 minutes and breathing, right? It's literally stepping outside of the situation. And I mean this in a figurative way and a literal way. Perhaps that's worked for you. Taking the dog for a walk, calling a loved one, a friend, someone who you trust to be able to share what you're experiencing, right? Because part of all this, what we haven't talked about yet, is with all of these emotions that we're experiencing, this uncertainty, something else that's happened, hey Mark, is we've had this disconnect socially, right? We're having to rethink our social connections in a huge way. And part of the anxiety that you're experiencing may be as a result of that. So I'm encouraging you to absolutely, Sophia, and focus prayer. Absolutely. Absolutely. If that works for you and that's helped you in the past, you want to go right back to that and work on focused prayer. And connecting. You can have prayer groups on Zoom or FaceTime, but it's so important because this time can be so isolating and produce feelings of, for some, depression, isolation, and loneliness. This further exacerbates anxiety. Reach out. Don't be afraid to do it. Whether it's online like this and joining a group and communicating live in FaceTime or in a Facebook Live kind of session, or if it's picking up the phone and instead of dialing the phone number, hitting FaceTime and having a conversation with somebody face-to-face or a few people. There's different ways that we can re-engage socially. The goal is, what I'm saying to you, is to connect and to talk and to share what you're feeling. Because as I said earlier, you may feel like you're the only person in the world that's feeling what you're feeling, experiencing what you're. And I promise you, you're not alone. In fact, you're among so many that are ready to talk to you, support you, and share some of what they use to cope as well, right? We talked about you going back in your past and other events and figuring out what's worked for you, but it also helps to hear what works for other people. Sometimes adopting things that are so very different, like coloring together on Zoom, engaging in some sort of art project with clay. Even though you have absolutely no art skills whatsoever, it doesn't matter. What matters is literally grabbing a hold of our brains and detaching it from all that's going on relative to mass media. And I know I love adulting too, Kate. Stepping outside of our current situation, stepping away from the news, stepping away from the anxiety, and stepping into something that's soothing, that's calming, that's distracting. Although we can't control what's going on, how'd you know? I know you have no art skills, Jenny. It's okay though. Although you can't control what's going on externally, we can control, and I know, take this the right way, you're going to think maybe I'm a little bit kooky. We can control our thoughts. When you change your thoughts, you change your life. That isn't an overdramatic statement. It's a very true one. And this is what we've been talking about today, is you can control your thoughts. Thoughts produce emotion. When we can change an anxious thought, an anxious prognostication, we're going to produce a very different feeling. So all the things we're talking about can accomplish that. But it's really important I'm going to make a recommendation to you today. Hey, Amy, is make sure you're scheduling time to indulge and engage in mainstream media. And what I mean is watching the news about COVID is part of my job, and because I care as a human, I'm also watching the news, but I'm limiting my time and being very careful with it so that I'm not overindulging, because it's going to produce a great deal of anxiety. So take what you need. A half an hour is going to be plenty. Whether you're reading the news, you're watching it, schedule that limited time, and then also schedule that time to take care of yourself, to engage in self-care, whether it's doing the grounding techniques that we talked about, where you're sitting, you're feeling, you're hearing, you're touching. It's important. We're so used to scheduling meeting after meeting and project after project. What we're not used to doing is scheduling self-care. And I'm telling you, for our immune systems, for our mental health, so that we can take care of others, we've got to take care of ourselves first. All right? Sound good? I can give you more, but I got a few more things to share with you. I got some notes. I wanted to give a huge shout out to all of you. I see everybody engaging on social media, supporting each other, encouraging each other to talk. Keep doing that. Keep talking. When in doubt, be present. But there's a caveat to that. I've said this before, and I'll say it again, is if you disagree with something that somebody says, it's natural to disagree. That's fine. Sometimes people will share political views and statements, and that's freedom of speech. That's what folks can do. And certainly, it's okay to disagree, but it's not okay to do it in a disrespectful way. So let's be respectful to one another. Let's support each other. Let's acknowledge that what makes us beautiful also makes us very different, and we're all going to have different beliefs. So be very careful with that as you're online. Sometimes I see some really hurtful, painful comments. We don't want to cause any more pain than we're already experiencing. We want to put more of that goodness out there because we're going to get it back. So let's keep focused on that. So speaking of goodness, I have to give a shout out, one, to the people I work with. I love them. They're incredible, from the leadership to the frontline staff. I've had so many opportunities to connect with them on an individual basis more than I ever have. When we're sleeping at night, many of them are working and taking care of patients, and during the day, they're on the phone with them, they're face to face. They are putting their own personal work aside to take care of the community, and I love them for it. They've adjusted to incredible change, and they've done it beautifully. So thank all of you that I work with. I have so much love for you. I thank our board and our development committees and all of you that are so supportive. I have so much love for you too. And I want to give a special shout out also to some folks who made masks for us. Early on, I think it was a few weeks ago, we needed PPE. We didn't have any masks for our residential folks, our acute care, outpatient. We have nurses, doctors, patients, staff who needed essential PPE. And Kathy Byers, Sylvia McActor and her daughters, Babs Keller and her sister, Debbie Corbin, Anna Hotlow, Kathy Rabinski, Wendy Price, Richard and Judy Wagner made homemade masks, and it was fantastic. And we're very grateful. And thanks, Patricia. I will definitely do this again. I am going to focus on trying to go live at least once a week. And, if you have some questions that you want me to address, I'm happy to do that. You can IM me and let me know what you'd like me to mention. Something else I have to mention, it's backwards. It's backwards, I know. What this says is 2020census.gov. Go to 2020census.gov. Could be after work, whenever. It takes literally 15 minutes to complete the census. There's a lot going on right now. I'm concerned that might get lost. And when it comes to essential services, for the people we work with, for us as human beings, for the patients that we serve, it's imperative that the census is complete by all of us. We had a 60% participation rate 10 years ago, and our funding reflects that. We're talking about funding for housing, school meals, for other social services that are absolutely essential. And if we don't, hey Ed, and if we don't complete the census, we've got to wait another 10 years. So we don't want to be in that position where we're going, oh no, we needed A, B, C, and D dollars for a particular social service. It's because we didn't reflect that in the census. So please go to www.2020census.gov. You can do it online, you can do it on the phone. It's a piece of cake, and you'll be really happy that you did it. And that's another way to distract your attention if you're feeling anxiety. Love you, Soph. And again, I'm going to do this as often as possible. I think once a week is plenty. And let me know how it goes. Let me know if you were able to try the grounding techniques and being present. Really do it for yourself. Even if you don't want to report back, I understand. But give it a try and see what happens. Try something different, right? The whole idea right now is to have options available to us to be able to cope, to be able to productively move through this. So I want to say thank you for joining me today. It was great to see all of you. I love saying hello. I love talking to you and sharing information. And if you want more, love you, Vicky. If you want more, let me know. You have a particular question, I'm happy to talk about it. What are we going to focus on next week? I don't know. Maybe another technique to deal with anxiety, because even if you think you don't have it, there's still great skills that you can use and maybe even pass them along. So feel free to IM me. You know how to do that. Again, this is Stacey Cook with SalusCare, sending love to you all. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next go around. Be safe, be well, and share love. Take care.